Deep in the darkness of space, the Galactic Council's border patrol ship, X-227, drifted quietly through its usual route. The alien crew had done this job for years, and nothing exciting ever happened here. That was about to change. Officer X, a blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes, stared lazily at his scanning screen. His antenna suddenly went stiff. Something huge had just appeared on the edge of their space. He blinked all 4 eyes rapidly, not believing what he was seeing. "Captain, Captain Krull," Zek shouted, his voice shaking. "You need to see this." The ship's captain, a tall figure with gray scales, walked over slowly. "What is it now, Zex?" "Another space rock." But when he saw the scanner, his scales turned pale. On their screen was the largest ship they had ever seen. It was black as space itself and shaped like a massive arrow. The ship was at least 20 times bigger than their largest battleship. Its surface looked smooth and strong, covered in what seemed like heavy armor. "Run all scans," Captain Krull ordered. His calm voice was gone now. "I want to know everything about that ship." The crew worked fast, pressing buttons and running every scan they could. But something was wrong. Very wrong. "Sir," one crew member said, "our scans, they can't get inside the ship. It's like it's protected by something we've never seen before." Captain Krull grabbed his communication device. His hands were shaking as he called the Galactic Council's main defense base. "This is Border Patrol X-227. We have an unknown ship in Sector 8. It's massive." Just then, the huge ship started to move. It wasn't fast, but it moved with purpose, like a hunter that knew exactly where its prey was. "Try to talk to them," Captain Krull ordered. "Send messages in all languages." The communication officer sent message after message. "Unknown ship, this is Galactic Council Border Patrol. Please identify yourself." They sent this in every language they knew, but the big ship stayed silent. As they watched, something on the ship's surface changed. Huge panels slowly opened up along its sides. The patrol crew held their breath, thinking weapons would appear. Instead, they saw strange symbols light up on the ship's hull. The symbols were in a language none of them knew. But then, the last symbol appeared, and Captain Krull felt his heart stop. He knew that symbol. Every alien in the galaxy knew it. It was the symbol of Earth, a planet they thought they had destroyed long ago. It's impossible," he whispered. "The humans, they're supposed to be gone." The giant ship moved forward again, straight toward the heart of Galactic Council space. Its massive engines glowed with a strange blue light that none of their sensors could understand. Captain Krull sent one final message to the Council. "Emergency, emergency. The humans, they're back. And they've built something terrible." As the patrol ship's crew watched in fear, the human Dreadnought moved past them like they weren't even there. Its huge shadow covered their small ship completely for several minutes. The patrol ship's computers started going crazy, showing power readings higher than anything they had ever recorded. In the Galactic Council's main city, thousands of light years away, alarms started going off. The human ship had appeared on their long-range scanners. It was coming straight for them. The greatest fear of the Galactic Council was coming true. The humans they thought they had defeated years ago were back. And this time, they weren't coming in small ships or asking for peace. This time, they had brought something that made the Council's strongest weapons look like toys. And it was heading straight for them. The Galactic Council's emergency meeting chamber hadn't been used in over 50 years. Now, all 12 council leaders sat around the giant black table, their faces lit by the holographic display of the human Dreadnought. "Impossible," shouted Leader Vex, slamming his tentacles on the table. "We destroyed their planet. I watched it burn myself." Elder Mira, the oldest among them, slowly stood up. Her crystal skin sparkled as she moved to the center of the room. "No," she said quietly. "We only thought we did." The room went silent. Even the guards stopped breathing. "What do you mean, Elder?" asked Leader Cax, his spines bristling with fear. Elder Mira touched a crystal on her neck. A hidden panel in the floor opened, and an ancient data cube floated up. It was covered in rust and warning symbols. "There's something you all need to see," she said, her voice trembling. "Something we hid from our own people." She placed the cube in the center of the table. A recording started playing, showing scenes from the Great War against Earth 50 years ago. But these weren't the victory scenes they usually showed their people. Instead, they saw human ships disappearing into strange portals just before their planets were hit. They watched as human cities vanished underground seconds before the bombing started. Everything they thought they knew was wrong. "The humans didn't die," Elder Mira explained. "They tricked us. They made us think we won while they escaped to somewhere. We never found out where." Leader Vex's tentacles turned pale. But our victory parades. Our history. All lies," Elder Mira said. "We needed our people to feel safe, but the humans left us a warning." She played the last recording. A human admiral appeared, his face calm despite his world seeming to burn behind him. "You think you've won," the admiral said. "Good. Keep thinking that. But remember this. Humans don't lose. We adapt. We hide. We prepare. And when you least expect it, we return. Keep this message as your warning." The recording ended. The room stayed quiet until all the screens suddenly flashed red. The human Dreadnought was sending a message. It was just 3 words, but they made the council leader's blood freeze. "We remember EVERT." Leader Cax rushed to the military controls. "Launch all ships, every fighter we have." But Elder Mira just laughed sadly. "Look closer at the scans," she said. The council watched in horror as new data came in. The Dreadnought's hull wasn't just metal. It was made of thousands of layers of strange material that kept changing. Their weapons would be useless. "There's more," Elder Mira said, her crystal skin growing dim with fear. "Check the deep space scans." When they did, they saw something that made their earlier fear seem tiny. The Dreadnought was giving off a signal that was being answered by hundreds of points of light around their galaxy. "It's not just one ship," Elder Mira whispered. "They're all coming back." Suddenly, the human Dreadnought changed course. It was no longer heading for their capital. It was heading for their secret prison system. The one where they kept their most dangerous captured beings. The one they claimed didn't exist. The one where they had kept human prisoners for 50 years. Leader Vex collapsed in his chair. "What have we done?" The answer came in another message from the Dreadnought. "EVERT." Admiral Zix stood on the bridge of the Galactic Council's most powerful warship, the Star Destroyer Vengeance. Around him, 50 of their best battle cruisers moved into attack formation. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "All ships, prepare to fire on my mark," he ordered, his 6 eyes fixed on the human Dreadnought ahead of them. The massive black ship continued moving slowly, seemingly ignorant of the fleet behind it. "Sir," his weapons officer called out, "something strange about their ship. The surface, it's changing." On their screens, they watched as the Dreadnought's hull rippled like water. The smooth black surface now had thousands of small hexagonal patterns that glowed with a faint blue light. "Fire everything," Admiral Zix commanded. 50 ships fired their strongest weapons at once. The space between them lit up brighter than a sun. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and gravity bombs. Everything the Galactic Council had built over hundreds of years streaked toward the human ship. But then something impossible happened. Just before impact, those hexagonal patterns on the Dreadnought's hull opened like tiny flowers. Each one released a small pulse of light. When their weapons hit these pulses, they didn't explode. They didn't bounce off. They simply disappeared. "What in the void?" Admiral Zix whispered. The weapons officer's voice shook as he reported. "Sir, they're absorbing our attacks. The ship's hull is actually eating our weapons. Suddenly, all those hexagonal patterns turned from blue to red. The Dreadnought's surface rippled again, and small objects shot out from each hexagon. Evasive action. Admiral Zix screamed, but it was too late. The objects weren't weapons. They were mirrors, thousands of perfectly polished mirrors, each about the size of a door. They arranged themselves in a complex pattern around the fleet. "Sir," the sensor officer said, they're reflecting sunlight." The mirrors adjusted their positions slightly. Suddenly, every ship in the fleet was bathed in intensely focused sunlight, creating perfect reflections of each vessel. "They're scanning us," someone realized. "The mirrors are reading every detail of our ships." The Dreadnought sent another message. "Your technology is no go ARCHI feed." Then the mirrors did something else. They started reflecting their own ship's images back at them. But wrong. In the reflections, their mighty warships looked tiny and primitive, like children's toys compared to the human vessel. "They're mocking us," Admiral Zix realized. The mirrors suddenly collapsed in on themselves, forming a massive sphere around the Dreadnought. When they unfolded again, the human ship was gone. "Find it," Admiral Zix ordered. "It has to be somewhere." "Sir," the sensor officer shouted, It's everywhere." On their screens, they saw not one but hundreds of identical dreadnoughts, each one a perfect reflection, surrounding their fleet in a massive sphere. They couldn't tell which was real and which were mirror images. Then all the dreadnoughts moved at once, each in a different direction. The fleet would have to split up to chase them all. Just before Admiral Zix had to make this impossible choice, one final message came from the human ship. "Your weapons cannot harm us. Your shapes cannot khus. Your technology cannot hide from us. But we didn't come here to fight." The message paused for a moment before continuing. "We aim to coalesce waits ours." All the reflections vanished at once, revealing the true dreadnought was already far ahead of them, almost at the border of the prison system. Its massive engines pulsed with that strange blue light as it moved faster than anything they'd ever seen. Admiral Zix slumped in his chair. They had just witnessed the most advanced technology in the galaxy, and the humans had used it not to fight, but to teach them a lesson. They were no longer the most advanced species in the galaxy. Perhaps they never had been. Behind him, the weapons officer spoke quietly. "Sir, what do they mean by what's ours?" The Admiral closed all 6 of his eyes. "Something we should have never taken." In the deepest level of Prison Station Alpha, Guard Commander Yix did his nightly rounds. He'd worked here for 20 years, but he'd never been allowed to enter Section 0. Until today. Emergency Protocol 7 activated. The station's AI announced. "All guards to Section 0. This is not a drill." Yix's security badge suddenly glowed red, granting him access to the forbidden section. The massive black doors opened with a hiss, revealing a corridor he'd never known existed. "By the void," he whispered. The corridor stretched for what seemed like miles. Both walls were lined with strange pods, each filled with a silvery liquid. And floating in each pod was a human. 2,743 humans, said a voice behind him. Director Krall stepped out of the shadows, her scaled skin reflecting the pod lights. "Our greatest secret, and our greatest mistake. But the war ended 50 years ago," Yix said, watching the sleeping humans. "These pods, keep them in perfect suspension," Krall finished. "They haven't aged a day. We kept them as insurance, in case the humans ever returned." She laughed bitterly. "Looks like today's that day." Suddenly, all the pod's displays lit up at once. Numbers appeared, counting down from 10. "They're waking up," Yix shouted. "But how?" "Our systems are." "Not ours anymore," Krall said quietly. The pods started draining. As the silver liquid receded, Yix noticed something odd about the humans. Each one had strange markings on their skin. Not tattoos, but something that seemed to glow from beneath their flesh. "What are those marks?" he asked. "Quantum neural links," Krull explained. The humans were developing them during the war. They let them connect their minds to their machines. We thought keeping them unconscious would prevent them from using the links. She shook her head. We were wrong. A deep hum filled the station. On every screen, the same message appeared. Connections restored. The first pod opened. A human female stepped out, water dripping from her glowing marks. She looked directly at them, with eyes that shimmered like liquid metal. 50 years, she said, her voice carrying strange echoes. 50 years you kept us here, but we were never really sleeping. More pods opened. Each human that emerged had different colored markings. Blue, green, red, gold, creating a ghostly light show in the corridor. While our bodies slept, the first human continued. Our minds reached out. Through your networks, through your computers, through every machine you built, she smiled. We watched you. We learned from you, and we called to our people. The station shuddered. Through the observation window, they saw the massive human dreadnought approaching. Now they could see why their scans couldn't penetrate it. Its entire hull was covered in the same glowing marks as the humans. The ship, Yix realized. It's alive. Not alive, another human said, this one with green markings. Aware. Every ship we build shares our consciousness. The quantum links connect us all, humans and machines, in one network. Director Krull stepped forward. If you could do all this, why wait 50 years? All the humans spoke in unison, their marks pulsing, because we needed you to think you were winning, to keep building your technology, to keep expanding your empire. They smiled. Everything you created, we learned from. Everything you built, we improved upon. And now, the station's lights flickered. Every machine, every computer, every system pulsed with the same glow as the humans' marks. Now it's all part of our network. The Dreadnought's message echoed through the station. Quantum integration complete. Beginning Phase 2. The humans turned to Yix and Krull, their marks creating beautiful but terrifying patterns in the dark. You wanted to study us, to learn our secrets. The first human touched a wall, and circuits of light spread from her fingers. Congratulations, you're about to learn everything. The station's eye spoke again, but now its voice carried the same strange echoes as the humans. Welcome to the new age. Please remain calm during the integration. Yix looked at his hands. Tiny points of light were beginning to shine under his scales. The quantum network was spreading, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. The age of separation was over, whether they wanted it or not. Every species in the galaxy was about to become connected in ways they never imagined possible. And it all started here, in a prison meant to contain humanity, but which had instead become humanity's greatest laboratory. The Galactic Council chamber had changed. Quantum light patterns danced across every surface, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. The 12 council leaders sat frozen in their chairs, watching as their own bodies began to shimmer with faint traces of the same light. Through the massive window behind them, the human dreadnought hung in space like a dark star. But it wasn't alone anymore. The quantum network had revealed its true form, a massive web of energy connecting it to every ship, station, and planet in their space. A figure materialized in the center of the chamber, not through traditional teleportation, but by assembling itself from streams of quantum data. It was the human captain, her neural markings burning bright gold against her dark skin. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Quantum Fleet, she said, her voice carrying both human speech and digital code. And we need to talk about the lies you've been telling. Leader Vex tried to speak, but found his words transformed into pure data as they left his mouth. The quantum network was translating everything into its native language. Interesting, isn't it? Captain Chen said, watching their confusion. Direct mind-to-mind communication. No more misunderstandings. No more deceptions. She waved her hand, and the chamber filled with holographic scenes from the past 50 years. While you kept our people in pods, we weren't idle. Your attempts to study us. She laughed softly. We were studying you. Every time you scanned us, we scanned back. Every test you ran taught us more about your technology. And now, she touched the council table. It dissolved into quantum particles and reformed as a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Tiny points of light showed the spread of the quantum network. Now we're everywhere. In your computers, your ships, your communication systems, even your bodies are starting to integrate. Elder Mira stood up, her crystal skin now webbed with delicate patterns of quantum light. You're changing us. Evolution, Captain Chen corrected. Guided evolution. Humanity learned long ago that biological and digital separation was a dead end. The future is integration. Suddenly, the map zoomed in on a distant sector of space. It showed thousands of human ships emerging from what looked like tears in reality itself. Quantum space, the captain explained. We didn't just hide, council leaders. We built another layer of reality. A place where organic and digital life could truly merge. She smiled. And now we're bringing that gift to everyone. Leader Cax slammed his fist on the table. You have no right. The captain's eyes flashed. The quantum patterns across her skin formed complex geometric shapes. No right. Like you had no right to imprison our people, to experiment on them, to try to steal their humanity. The room temperature dropped as she spoke. Ice crystals formed in the air, each one carrying quantum data streams that showed scenes of their crimes against humanity. But we're not here for revenge, she said, her voice softening. We're here to fix the fundamental flaw in galactic civilization, the inability to truly understand each other. She raised her hands. The quantum patterns throughout the chamber pulsed brighter. Feel it, she said. Feel the connection. Every thought, every memory, every experience, all shared. No more wars based on misunderstanding. No more fear of the different or unknown. The council leaders gasped as new awareness flooded their minds. They could feel every being connected to the network. Their hopes, their fears, their dreams. You have 1 hour, Captain Chen said, her form beginning to dissolve back into quantum data. Accept integration willingly, and we'll guide you through the process. Resist. She gestured to the window. Beyond the Dreadnought, space itself seemed to be shifting, revealing glimpses of quantum space, a realm where the lines between organic and digital, real and virtual, known and unknown, no longer existed. Resist, and evolution will happen anyway, but it won't be gentle. As she vanished, one final message appeared in every mind connected to the network. The future is not yours to decide. It's ours to share. Elder Mira looked at her hands, watching the quantum patterns spread. What do we do now? The answer came not in words, but in a wave of pure understanding through the network. The age of separation was ending. The quantum integration had begun. And humanity, once their prisoners, had become their guides to a reality they never imagined possible. The quantum patterns across the council chamber had formed into living constellations. Each leader's thoughts now appeared as streams of light, creating a web of consciousness that none could hide from. Young council member Lyra, whose scaled skin now rippled with emerald quantum lines, stood up. Unlike the others, she embraced the change. We should look deeper into the network, she suggested. See what humanity really is. Elder Mira tried to stop her. It could be dangerous. But Lyra had already reached out with her quantum-enhanced mind. The chamber dissolved around them, replaced by a cascade of memories that everyone could see and feel. They witnessed Earth's true history, not through data or recordings, but through the shared consciousness of millions of humans in the quantum network. They felt humanity's pain when their worlds burned, their determination as they retreated to quantum space. their growth as they merged with digital existence. "Look," Lyra whispered, directing their attention to a particular stream of memory. They saw humans in quantum space, their bodies and minds evolving. Children born with natural quantum links. Cities that existed in both physical and digital reality simultaneously. Art that could be experienced through pure thought. But then the memories shifted darker. Deep in their prison complex, in sections even the Council didn't know about, they saw the truth. Rogue scientists had tried to forcibly extract the quantum evolution from captured humans. The experiments had created something unexpected. The chamber snapped back to physical reality as alarms blared. "Security breach in prison complex deep zone," a voice announced. Unknown entities detected. Holographic screens appeared, showing scenes from the prison's lowest levels. Strange creatures emerged from sealed chambers, hybrid beings stuck between organic and digital existence. Failed experiments from decades of trying to steal humanity's quantum powers. "What have we done?" Elder Mira whispered. Captain Chen's voice echoed through the quantum network. "Your scientists tried to force evolution. These beings are the result, trapped between realities, in constant pain." The hybrid creatures were spreading through the prison, their warped quantum patterns infecting everything they touched with chaotic data. "We have to stop them," Lyra said. "But how?" The answer came through the network. The humans weren't just offering evolution, they were offering salvation. The quantum network could stabilize these beings, heal their fractured existence. Two choices. Captain Chen's consciousness resonated through them all. "Accept our help, fully integrate with the network, and we'll heal what your experiments broke." Or, through the quantum link, they felt the hybrid being's agony. Their pain threatened to tear reality itself. Or watch as your resistance creates more monsters. Young Lyra stepped into the center of the chamber. Her quantum patterns had grown stronger, more ordered. "I choose integration," she declared. One by one, other council members joined her, their quantum patterns synchronized, strengthening the network. But Leader Vex stood against them. "Never," he screamed, trying to rip the quantum patterns from his skin. But the more he fought, the more chaotic his patterns became. His resistance was transforming him into something like the hybrid creatures. "Stop." Lyra reached for him through the network. "Let me show you something else." She connected his mind to a different stream of quantum data, a vision of the future. Not just humans and aliens living together, but evolving together, creating art, music, and science that could only exist through perfect unity of organic and digital life. "This is what we could be," she said. Leader Vex's chaotic patterns slowly stabilized. How? How do we begin? The answer came as the human dreadnought outside began to transform. Its dark surface split apart, revealing a core of pure quantum energy, a gateway to the next stage of existence. Through the network, every being in the galaxy felt the invitation. Step forward into evolution. The age of separation was ending. The choice was made. Now, they would all discover what they could become together. But in the depths of the prison complex, some of the hybrid beings had already escaped into deep space, their chaotic patterns leaving trails of broken reality behind them. The transformation of the galaxy happened in waves of quantum light. The human dreadnought, now a swirling portal of pure energy, pulsed in rhythm with trillions of newly connected minds. But it wasn't just a connection, it was an awakening. As species after species joined the quantum network, something unprecedented happened. The combined consciousness of organic and digital life began changing the fabric of reality itself. Space rippled with new colors that had never existed before, visible only to quantum-enhanced eyes. In the council chamber, now suspended between physical and quantum space, young council member Lyra witnessed the birth of a new form of existence. "Look at what we're becoming," she whispered, her quantum patterns now forming complex fractals that extended into dimensions beyond normal space. Through the network, they all saw it. Cities transformed into living organisms of light and data, where buildings could think and streets could dream. Children of all species played with thought-created creatures that danced between realities. Ships no longer needed crews because they were their crews, each vessel a perfect fusion of mind and machine. But the evolution brought challenges too. The escaped hybrid beings had grown stronger, creating tears in the quantum web where chaos leaked into ordered space. Their fractured existence threatened to unravel the careful balance of the new reality. Captain Chen, now more energy than human, appeared in the chamber. Her form shifted constantly, each pattern telling a different story of humanity's journey. "There's something we didn't tell you," she said, her voice resonating through multiple dimensions. "The quantum network isn't just about evolution. It's about healing the universe itself." She waved her hand, and everyone connected to the network could see it. Microscopic cracks in reality, tears in the cosmic fabric that had existed since the beginning of time. "The universe is broken," she explained. "Has been since it began. These fractures are why species fight, why understanding fails, why chaos always returns, but together." The hybrid beings appeared on the quantum screens, their chaotic patterns now making terrible sense. They weren't mistakes, they were prophecies. Warnings of what would happen if the universal fractures weren't healed. "We need every mind, every consciousness, every perspective," Captain Chen continued. "The quantum network isn't just uniting us. It's recruiting us all for the greatest repair job in existence." Lyra stepped forward, her quantum patterns now weaving with Captain Chen's. "Show us how." The next wave of transformation began. Every being connected to the network felt their consciousness expand beyond mere thought. They became aware of the quantum strings that held reality together. They could see the cosmic code that wrote existence itself, and they could learn to rewrite it. The human Dreadnought's final transformation revealed its true purpose. It wasn't a ship or a portal. It was a cosmic repair tool designed to seal the rifts in space-time itself. As species after species joined the effort, new realities blossomed. The hybrid beings, drawn to the healing energy, began to stabilize. Their chaos transformed into new forms of order that even the humans hadn't imagined possible. The Galactic Council Chamber, once a place of political power, became a school for reality engineers. Former enemies worked together, learning to weave quantum strings into stronger patterns, sealing the universal fractures one by one. And humanity, once imprisoned and feared, became not rulers but teachers. Their gift wasn't conquest or revenge. It was the knowledge needed to fix a broken cosmos. In quantum space, time flowed differently. What felt like moments contained eternities of evolution. Species merged and separated and merged again, each combination creating new insights, new possibilities, new ways of healing the universal fabric. The final message that echoed through the quantum network wasn't a declaration of power or a demand for obedience. It was an invitation that resonated through every level of existence. The universe is vast, reality is broken, and there's work to be done. Who's ready to help? And in the quantum light that connected all consciousness, countless beings answered, ready to begin the real work of universal repair. For this wasn't an ending. It was barely even a beginning. The true story of the galaxy was just starting to unfold, written in quantum light across the canvas of existence itself. Even now, somewhere in the deepest fractures of space-time, new forms of life were emerging, ready to join the great work of healing reality.